How Marcus taught me to change my life with a thought. Let me take you back to a particular afternoon I'll never forget. It was one of those quiet, overcast Saturdays that invite you to slow down a bit. I was sitting at a little corner cafe in the city, one of those places with mismatched mugs, soft jazz playing in the background, and people nursing their thoughts as much as their coffee. Across from me sat Marcus, an old friend I hadn't seen in months. Now, Marcus isn't the kind of guy you forget easily. He has this calm presence, the kind that makes you feel like everything is going to be okay, even if nothing actually is. He's not flashy. He doesn't throw big words around. But when he speaks, you listen. And that day he said something that would change my life. He looked at me, took a slow sip of his coffee and said, "You know, the story you keep telling yourself is shaping your entire life." At first, I wasn't sure what he meant. I mean, yeah, I knew I had been complaining a lot lately. Work stress, money worries, a relationship that felt like it was unraveling thread by thread. I was tired, really tired. And I thought I was just venting, just being honest. But Marcus saw something else. He leaned in a little and said, "Have you ever heard of the law of attraction?" I raised an eyebrow. "You mean that thing where if you write a check to yourself for $1 million and put it on the fridge, it just shows up?" He laughed. "No, not quite. That's more of a Hollywood version. The real idea is simpler and deeper. The law of attraction is about the energy of your thoughts. It says, that which is like unto itself is drawn. In plain language, what you focus on, you get more of." He let that sink in for a moment, then added, "If you're thinking about things that stress you out, your mind will start serving you up more thoughts just like that. Your focus attracts more focus. One thought becomes 10, 10 become a mood. That mood becomes a day. That day becomes your life." And suddenly, I saw it. How I'd been living inside a loop of my own making. I'd been telling a story of overwhelm, of lack, of struggle, and I was surrounded by experiences that matched that story exactly. Marcus saw the shift in my face and continued, "Let me give you an example. Say you wake up and stub your toe. You're annoyed, and then you spill your coffee. Now you're really irritated. Traffic is worse than usual. Your co-worker snaps at you, and by lunchtime, you're declaring it the worst day ever." He paused and smiled. "But none of those things created the bad day. You did, by the story you started telling yourself from the moment your toe hit the bed frame." That hit me hard. He went on, "The law of attraction isn't punishing you. It's just consistent. It brings you more of what you dwell on. So if you think about what's wrong, it brings you more of what's wrong. But if you start thinking about what could go right, even just a little, it begins to shift." At this point, I was all in. I asked him, "So what am I supposed to do? Pretend everything's fine when it's not?" Marcus shook his head. "No, it's not about pretending. It's about choosing. It's okay to acknowledge what's wrong. In fact, contrast, knowing what you don't want, is actually helpful. It shows you what you do want. But here's the trap. Most people get stuck in the problem. They keep describing it, analyzing it, repeating it, and without realizing it, they're fueling it." That hit me even harder, because that's exactly what I'd been doing. Talking to my friends about my relationship issues, repeating the story of how exhausted I was, how unfair things felt. I thought I was just processing, but really I was reinforcing the same energy again and again. Marcus leaned back in his chair, his voice steady. "You've got to start telling a different story. Even if your current circumstances haven't changed yet, tell a story from the point of view of where you want to be." He told me about a woman he knew named Clara. She'd been dealing with chronic illness for years. Her days were filled with doctor visits, pills, and online forums about symptoms. Her whole identity was wrapped up in being sick, and she couldn't understand why things never got better. So Marcus asked her, What if you started imagining what it would feel like to be well, even just for 5 minutes a day? At first she resisted. "That's not my reality," she said. But he told her, "That doesn't matter. The law of attraction doesn't respond to your current reality. It responds to your focus, your vibration." And slowly, Clara began to shift. She started visualizing herself walking in nature again, laughing with her kids, doing yoga. At first it was hard, her body still hurt. But gradually something changed. Her thoughts lightened, her mood lifted, and eventually her body began to follow. Now Marcus wasn't claiming she cured herself with positive thinking. That's not what this is about. But she changed her relationship with her story. And that changed her relationship with her life. He looked me in the eye and said, "Tell the story you want to live, even if no one else believes it yet, because eventually you will." I went home that day and started small. I wrote a sentence at the top of my journal. "I am learning to live with more ease." That was it. I couldn't say I was happy yet, or that all my problems were solved, but I could say I was learning, and that felt true. The next day I added another. "I am becoming someone who trusts things will work out." Then, "Good things are on their way to me." These were not just affirmations. They were seeds, and I watered them every day. I started catching myself when I slipped into the old story. When I heard myself complaining, I'd stop and say, "That's the old chapter. I'm writing a new one." And slowly, miraculously, the outside started to shift. My relationship grew calmer, more open. I started enjoying my work again. My body felt more rested. Life didn't change overnight, but my experience of it did. Because I stopped being the victim of my story. I became the author. And now I tell you this, not because I have it all figured out. I don't. But because maybe you're like I was, caught in a loop, thinking that what's happening now is all there is. Maybe you've been rehearsing the same old dialogue of stress, of lack, of not enough. And if that's you, I just want you to know, you can change it. Not by force, not by denial, but by choosing to tell a different story. Start small, one sentence at a time. Because what you think about, you invite. What you focus on, you feed. And what you continue to tell day after day becomes your life. So the question is, what story do you want to live?